Were you familiar with this, the Watcher before you, The Witcher?
The Witcher,
before you started?
I hadn't seen the TV show, and I hadn't read the book.
When the official announcement dropped, The Witcher has been canceled, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. Overnight, the news spread across every platform imaginable, turning what should have been a simple studio statement into one of the biggest entertainment collapses of the decade. But no moment captured the emotional shock more than the reports that Liam Hemsworth, the man chosen to replace Henry Cavill as Geralt of Rivia, broke down in tears after hearing the decision. It was the tragic ending to a role he never truly had a chance to own. The cancellation wasn't just about ratings. It wasn't just about viewership. It wasn't even about the recast alone. It was the final, unavoidable consequence of a franchise that underestimated its audience, dismissed the person who carried the show, and ignored every warning sign that fans had been shouting from the moment Henry Cavill announced his exit. And now, with the entire Witcher universe collapsing under its own weight, the story behind the scenes has finally come to light, revealing how Netflix miscalculated, how the writers mishandled the lore, and how the pressure ultimately crushed Liam Hemsworth in a way that stunned even those closest to the production.
What's this? Oh, I saw this. Henry Cavill says he's not a fan of sex scenes in film and television and believes that they're mostly a bit of a cop-out. Fucking true. Absolutely true.
It's when you have a sense that you're going, is this really necessary? Or is it people just with less clothing on?
Right.
And that's where you start to get more uncomfortable and you're thinking, there's not a performance here. TV show or a movie is just filled with sort of gyrating bodies and you're going, okay,
Right.
But I mean, what is this doing for us apart from the idea of like, oh, naked person, great.
Yeah.
Promote this thing until a month before it came out. They knew that switching from like Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth, as downhill as the franchise has gone, everybody knew that even they knew it'd be shit. Were we expecting this? Witcher Season 4 is sitting at 17% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And I mean, look, the critics are pretty so-so on it as well. Some critics have been lambasting it. But overwhelmingly, the fan base who has had an opportunity to watch it has wholeheartedly rejected this thing.
Witcher was supposed to be 7 seasons, but it was abruptly cut down to 5 after Henry Cavill left, and Lauren Hissrich is lucky she got that. But she does say, are there more stories? Maybe. Well, actually, there's a lot because you skipped them, but this one has to end at this point. So I think it's a nice time for all of us to step back a little bit. And that probably has a lot to do with the audience stepping back a long time ago.
For months, Netflix insisted that season 4 would succeed. They insisted that the show would continue from strength to strength, even as the first trailer racked up dislikes at a speed that made streaming history. They insisted the recast would be fresh, that the writing team would elevate the story, and that fans would fall in love with the new direction. All of those hopeful statements crumbled the moment the episodes dropped. Viewership numbers tanked almost instantly. The premiere, which Netflix expected to draw tens of millions of households, performed worse than almost any major fantasy series they had produced in years. Worse still, most of the viewers who started episode 1 never finished it. The audience abandoned the season halfway through, leaving behind a trail of comments, reviews, and emotional posts describing the show as hollow, directionless, and disconnected from everything The Witcher had once represented.
I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do this.
Back
They
in
should have just canceled it.
It was and there were more than a few outlets and fans.
I don't know why Netflix would have even continued with it, because like it's only going to damage their brand and make them look bad. Like, you probably should be paying money to not have it shown.
Saying that's possible, actually releasing the show. And let's just
I don't know why they released it. They should have just canceled it. That's fine. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people obviously don't like this type of content.
Netflix's Q2 report came out, and apparently they lost 1 million subscribers in the second quarter of this year, which we already saw that at the beginning of the year, they lost 200,000. The next month, they lost another couple 100,000, and they had projected that they were going to lose a couple million over the next few months.
My job? Kill monsters. Get coin. Use coin on McDonald's app. Get points. Use points to get free McChicken. Only 1,500 points. Every dollar spent is 100 points. Constant BOGOs. I always leave with a free McChicken. It's like I'm stealing from them.
Stealing? You're a thief. Lemon.
Nobody blamed Liam Hemsworth personally at first. Fans knew he had a nearly impossible task, replacing an actor who wasn't just beloved, but deeply connected to the books, the games, and the character. For many, Henry Cavill was Geralt. He wasn't simply playing the role, he was embodying it. His passion, his lore knowledge, his respect for Sapkowski's writing, and his fight behind the scenes to maintain authenticity gave the series its soul. So when Liam appeared on screen for the first time, he entered a battlefield without armor. Fans weren't comparing him to some abstract version of Geralt. They were comparing him to Henry Cavill's iconic portrayal, a portrayal that had already cemented itself into pop culture. The backlash wasn't mild, it was fierce, fast, and overwhelming.
I can make whatever I want. I've got him on a farm milking people. I'm gonna send him to the ladies with the red bonnets on. Because everyone can have their version. Everyone shouldn't. Everyone doesn't matter enough to have their version. What matters is the millions upon millions of people which have bought the games, and they deserve to be represented. Lauren doesn't. Lauren's irrelevant. I'm not sure why Lauren's the showrunner. She already scared off the best asset that the series has. Getting rid of Henry Cavill and keeping Lauren would be like losing a Wagyu steak and having it replaced with a carrot.
Now I have to.
I think that's just so unfair to the guy. Are we really gonna blame everything and scapegoat this guy? Well, think about it. If the show was so great, why did the first guy leave? It's so unfair.
Millions of people are canceling their Netflix subscriptions. Why Netflix stock is absolutely tanking right now. I mean, it is just collapsing totally in the red. And you can see that it is on a massive downward slope this month. It's cratering.
And I guess bringing in a new White Wolf at this point in the season, a bold move and a tall order for Liam.
And of course, he wanted to honor the character that had already been set up because he knows that he's stepping into a role. But at the same time, he wanted to make sure that his performance was authentic, that it felt like him, that he wasn't playing and mimicking anything. And so
promote this thing until a month before it came out. You knew they knew that switching from like Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth, as downhill as the franchise has gone, everybody knew that even they knew it'd be shit. Were we expecting this? Witcher Season 4 is sitting at 17% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
To agree with the responsibility of that lays at the feet of one woman, the aforementioned Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich, who has finally gotten everything she wanted, complete control of an epic fantasy series on Netflix without the shackles of Henry Cavill. And how did it turn out? Well, about as bad as you would expect. It's time to talk about...
Liam tried to stay strong publicly, but behind the scenes, insiders described him as visibly shaken by the volume of negativity. Production staff spoke quietly about his discomfort, about the pressure weighing on him like an anchor around his neck. They had seen actors struggle before, but this was different. This wasn't criticism of a performance, it was the fallout of stepping into a role that the world believed belonged to someone else. As the season progressed and fan anger grew louder, Liam reportedly sought reassurance from producers, asking whether they still believed the show could survive this level of backlash. At first, they told him yes, but as the data continued to slide downward, even the executives lost confidence.
Witcher, 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 there's fish people drowning our sheep in the river!
Sounds like drowners. Gonna need spicy mayo.
Okay.
Oil my blade. Witcher magic for every occasion. Killing monsters is what I do.
Okay, can you hurry?
Witcher! A vampire ate my mom!
A Dracula needs garlic butter.
And it was not even a year ago where Henry very publicly said that he is committed to doing the planned 7 seasons of the Netflix Witcher on one condition. That condition being that the writers can manage to tell great stories while honoring the source material this show is apparently meant to be based on. Now,
Oh, okay. Well, that actually does fucking indicate something, doesn't it? Let's read this again. Absolutely, he says, and this is a quote, "As long as we can keep telling great stories which honor Sapkowski's work." So guess, I wonder what the odds are that a Netflix series isn't going to honor the original content of which the series is built off.
Meanwhile, Henry Cavill surged forward in his career, proving exactly what fans had been saying all along. He didn't leave The Witcher because he was bored, tired, or uninterested. He left because the creative direction strayed so far from the books that even he, one of the biggest champions of the franchise, could no longer support it. And the irony of it all became painfully clear. The very fans Netflix dismissed as too demanding were the same fans who sustained the series from the beginning. They didn't want massive changes. They didn't want disconnected storylines. They didn't want comedic side plots that undermined the tone. They wanted an adaptation that respected Sapkowski's world. Henry Cavill fought for that season after season, only to be met with resistance from the writing team. When he left, the fans left with him. The mistake Netflix made wasn't simply replacing Henry Cavill, it was refusing to understand why he mattered so deeply to the audience. It was like pulling the heart out of the series and expecting the body to walk on its own without Cavill anchoring the tone, guiding the character ethic, and pushing for accuracy. The series began drifting further into a glossy, algorithm-driven fantasy that felt artificial. The Witcher's grit, its moral complexity, its philosophical undertones, all of it evaporated. Season 4 felt like a different show wearing the skin of The Witcher. The final blow came 2 weeks after the season's release. Netflix executives gathered for what was described as a numbers emergency meeting. The analytics were catastrophic. Streaming completion rates had fallen to historic lows, fan engagement was toxic, critical reviews were unforgiving, and the budget for season 5, already in early stages, was no longer justifiable. The decision was made swiftly and quietly. Season 5 would not move forward. The Witcher was canceled. The cancellation wasn't immediately announced. Netflix debated how to spin the story, how to minimize the embarrassment, how to avoid admitting fault. But rumors started leaking almost immediately. Crew members whispered to journalists, anonymous posts popped up online, and then the moment that made headlines everywhere, reports surfaced that Liam Hemsworth had broken down upon hearing the decision. According to insiders, he asked whether there was anything he could do to prevent the cancellation, whether he could reshoot scenes, improve the performance, or contribute in some way to win the fans back. But the executives simply shook their heads. It was too late. The damage wasn't about his acting, it was about everything that had happened before he even arrived. Liam's emotional reaction shocked the studio. His team rushed to support him, reminding him that he had walked into an impossible situation, but the reality weighed heavily. He hadn't just lost a role, he had lost the biggest opportunity of his career, and through no fault of his own, he became the face of a disaster he didn't create, and fans, even those who disliked his portrayal, felt sympathy for him. They knew he wasn't the villain. The true villains were the people who mishandled the story from the beginning. But while sympathy flowed toward Liam, admiration flowed toward Henry Cavill. Online discussions exploded with gratitude for the man who tried to protect the franchise. Reaction channels published retrospective videos titled, "Henry Cavill warned them, Cavill was right all along, and The Witcher failed without Henry." Viewers compiled clips of Cavill correcting lore details on set, gently challenging writers during interviews, and passionately referencing the books. Those clips went viral, reinforcing the idea that Henry wasn't just acting, he was upholding the integrity of the world. Netflix, desperate to contain the fallout, attempted to blame market changes and shifting audience interests. Fans rejected that instantly. They pointed to competitor shows thriving, to fantasy as a genre still booming, and to season 3's numbers, proof that The Witcher could succeed if treated properly. The issue wasn't the market, the issue was the writing, the recast, the creative arrogance, and fans made their voices heard with brutal clarity. Petitions emerged demanding a reboot years down the line, but only with Henry Cavill. Fans didn't want a replacement, they didn't want a new Geralt. They wanted the Geralt. They wanted the version that brought heart, weight, and soul to the world. Hashtags like hashtag bring back Cavill and hashtag Cavill is Geralt forever reached millions of impressions. Even mainstream media covered the backlash, framing The Witcher as a cautionary tale for studios who undervalue their audiences. And as the fallout continued, insiders revealed something even more stunning. Henry Cavill had been approached again by Netflix after the cancellation, not to return to the series, but to help craft a statement explaining the franchise's downfall. Cavill declined, politely, respectfully, but firmly. He had moved on. His future projects were thriving. His reputation was soaring, and he didn't want his name attached to the mistakes Netflix had made. Liam Hemsworth retreated from public view for several weeks. His team reportedly encouraged him to focus on recovery, reminding him he had other opportunities ahead. But the emotional impact of the cancellation served as a brutal reminder of the weight of fan-driven franchises. No other role carries as much history, passion, and expectation as Geralt of Rivia when played by Henry Cavill. Anyone stepping into that space would be met with resistance. But stepping into that space after the franchise had been mishandled, that was a near impossible task. Meanwhile, fans continued to celebrate Henry Cavill's contribution. Highlight videos of his fight choreography, emotional scenes, and iconic line deliveries flooded social media. Even years after his departure, Cavill remained the symbol of what The Witcher could have been. He represented integrity in adaptation, an actor's dedication to source material treated with love rather than disregard. Netflix's cancellation announcement finally went public 6 weeks after the internal decision. The official statement was corporate, vague, and emotionless, but the audience reaction was explosive. Fans didn't mourn the end. They celebrated the closure of a chapter that should have never existed without Cavill. The response wasn't sorrow, it was vindication. Henry Cavill's legacy as Geralt only grew stronger. His respect for the books, his passion for the world, and his unwillingness to compromise on quality made him a hero to fans. The Witcher became a symbol, not of Netflix's success, but of what happens when a corporation misunderstands its own audience. The cancellation was not a failure, it was a correction, a reminder to studios that respect cannot be manufactured. It must be earned. And as for Liam Hemsworth, his tears became a tragic footnote in a saga he never had the chance to shape. The story will always be remembered not as his failure, but as the moment fans realized the truth once and for all. Henry Cavill wasn't just the actor who played Geralt, he was Geralt. And without him, there was never a Witcher story left to tell.